Let's say that you have a vision, let's say that you know what problem you want to solve out there for your users, but you don't know what product you have to build because you are not completely sure of what product should contain in order to bring value to your users. This is the reason why we have MVPs. MVPs, or Minimum Viable Products, were introduced by Eric Ries in the Lean Startup book. If you have not read it, I would recommend you to go check it out as soon as possible. And the goal of the MVPs is to basically validate the assumptions that you have either about the solution that you're building or the assumptions about the problems that you are trying to solve. And if you want to know more about what an MVP is, I will link a video down below in the description so you can go and check it out. So the same way as there are many different types of products to solve the same or similar problems, there are a lot of different types of MVPs out there that will help you validate different types of assumptions. And from my point of view, there are two main groups of types of MVPs. The first one of them is going to help you validate your assumptions around the problems or the needs of your users, and the second one is going to help you validate more the solutions that you had to build to solve those problems. Sometimes these are also categorized as low fidelity or high fidelity MVPs. But let's get cracking. First, let's talk about the MVPs that will help you validate the problem. Número uno, the fake door MVP. When you create a fake door MVP, typically what you're going to do is some kind of a website or some kind of post where somebody can go and potentially purchase or subscribe to your product. You are also talking about what the problem or need this product is going to solve. The trick with this fake door MVP is that once the people have signed up, then they will end up in some kind of a landing page that will tell them that you will let them know when this product is available for them or for the public. So this way, what you want to understand a little bit with this fake door MVP is that you want to try to figure out if there is some interest on the problem that you are trying to solve. If you get traction, if people actually subscribe or potentially even purchase without realistically purchasing your product, then you are actually validating the problem or the need that your product will be serving. One of the potential problems that I see with this one is that you might alienate a little bit the people that are trying to subscribe because there is no product and you haven't told them beforehand, which might be a little frustrating for certain people. On the other hand, the people that subscribe and that they are happy to stay, probably they are going to be a good resource for you to tap in the future to make sure that you are actually using them, for example, as early testers of your product. Número dos, the landing page MVP. So the idea with this one is relatively similar to the fake door MVP. You just want to build some kind of landing page for your product, that product that at this point you don't have, same as in the fake door MVP. But there is a big difference between this one and the fake door MVP is that you are letting people know that your product doesn't exist. So people can just subscribe and potentially sign up for something that is going to be coming in the future. And what you're trying to do with this landing page MVP is that you want to validate that there's enough people out there that has the same problem that your potential product in the future will be solving. And now let's move to the MVPs that are trying to validate your solution. Número uno, the Concierge MVP. In the Concierge MVP, what you're going to do is that you are going to walk through your users while they are using your product in the beginning. And here what you're going to be doing is that you want to simulate a product, typically a tech product, and the steps that are going to be happening typically are going to be then performed by somebody in the company, and the user also is aware of this. There are a couple of examples of where this is used relatively often. I think that, for example, product designer interviews when you are walking through a prototype, especially mockups that you have maybe done with Figma, you can do quite high fidelity mockups that look like a real product that even behave relatively similar to what the real product will do. And this prototype will actually even provide some kind of results, probably not that many and probably not that flexible, but that can help the users experience what the solution is going to be. The other good example for the Concierge MVP is Zappos. Zappos back in 1999 were building just a website where the founders were uploading photos that they were taking from shoes from a mall and then posting them online as that would be an online store. Once somebody showed interest, purchased the shoes, basically what the founders would do is go purchase it, send it to the person, and then the loop was closed. In this case, it's a very high fidelity prototype because the users actually want what they wanted. But it's a very good way of demonstrating that there is a need and that there is a good solution for this need before you actually even have to technically build that solution up. Número 2. The Wizard of Oz MVP. The idea of the Wizard of Oz MVP is very similar again to the Concierge MVP. The idea is that you want to show something that is very high fidelity to the user, that you are actually trying that they're having a real experience with a live product, but in reality, some of the steps that are being done in the back of the process or of the product are actually done manually at this point. There is a big difference though compared to the Concierge MVP. In this case, there's the magic trick of the wizard, and you as a user don't even know that somebody is pulling the strings behind the curtain. The good thing again with this one is that it will help you validating the solution that you are building without actually having to build the solution. You're just doing it manually, which is going to be something that you can be relatively straightforward, but it's not going to require you to go through the whole development of a new product, especially when you're thinking about tech products. These two types of MVP, the Concierge MVP and the Wizard of Oz MVP, have a very similar problem, is that both of them are not realistically scalable products. And some companies sometimes go through this process where they leave some process in the background that is still manual, like for example, admin of users. And that's something that maybe the users think that the whole process is automated, but it's not. And then if for whatever reason there is a large number of users to be processed and then whoever is handling those ones starts to struggle, that is something that the users are going to notice. And potentially they could be frustrated because of that, because they thought that the product was ready, but maybe it's not. Número 3. The Minimum Lovable Product. The Minimum Lovable Product is something that many product designers out there are advocating for nowadays, and probably many product managers as well. The idea of the minimum viable product many times is that you want to test the solutions quick and in a way dirty with your users. The idea with your minimum lovable product is that you want to not only test those solutions, not only the features, but you also want to give a little bit of the user experience, the proper design, the engagement that you want to achieve with your users already in these first versions of the product. This way, you're making sure that people from the very beginning, when they test the product, they don't test a product that it's maybe a little bit confusing to use, that they don't test a product that is very stripped down on the features that it has pretty much no usability and is maybe not necessarily reliable, but you are actually taking into account those things and trying to make sure that the first experience that the users have is something that they are already enjoying and loving your product from the get-go. Número 4. The regular MVP. The initial MVP that Eric Ries was proposing, where you want to test just certain features with your users and sometimes have features that are completely not polished, that they are completely not ready for production, but you want to make sure that you put them out there as soon as possible so you get feedback, that you make sure that the set of features that the product has initially is actually helping the users achieve what they need to do, solving that problem that they have, and you really want to validate that really fast without having to do any fuss and having to care too much about things like design, reliability, and so on. You are only focused at this point on validating your solution. And this is kind of the proposal that Eric Ries was having initially on his book. Again, go check it out if you haven't. There are other types of potential MVPs that you could consider out there, but I haven't covered them in this video because I don't see them necessarily as MVPs. The first one would be something like the pre-order MVP, which is something that many car manufacturers nowadays are doing, where you can pre-order a product before they even get it into production. That gives them a good understanding about the interest that is out there in the market on the car that they are building. Just think Cybertruck, people still waiting for it. The second one is the email or marketing campaign, where you want to test your ideas with your users. You might want to test with a potential solution or description of the problem and see if there is a need for that one out there, or if people like the solution that you're potentially planning. This, in a way, is not extremely different from the landing page MVP. And finally, you could even consider something like dropshipping to be some kind of an MVP. Again, not that different from the approach that Zappos took in the very beginning. When you're doing dropshipping, usually you are just purchasing products that have been produced by somebody else and using some other distribution platforms, like, for example, Shopify, to sell them to the users. So in practice, you are not so much building products, but you are building like a service around existing products out there, potentially with the idea of building something like those products in the future for yourself. Again, borderline MVP idea. MVPs are one of the most powerful tools out there to validate assumptions. Unfortunately, many times MVPs are not treated as that validation of the assumptions tool that was proposed initially by Eric Ries. And often nowadays, many people think about MVPs more about something like the minimum lovable product, or are still building for perfection even when they are thinking that they are building an MVP. If you want to hear more about MVPs, go check out this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It helps a lot the channel. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.